First of all, I would like to say thank you to Leon and Lisa for your wonderful music experience. And Mr. Donnie Lee, I know you're back there. Always our music director for setting it all up. So very grateful. So, I love going to get my hair done because my guy who does my hair, we have the most wonderful, philosophical conversations. It's crazy. And last time I was there last week, and he said, "Have you heard this new Deepak Chopra video?" And no, so of course he has to play it for me. And Deepak talks about how he is searching, and he hasn't successfully found the entity that is Deepak Chopra. Because you go into the science, right? The science says our whole body changes every 7 years. Not even a single cell is the same as it was 7 years ago. It talked about how stardust has been created and that our whole bodies are created by the stardust. And then he went on to talk about how these thoughts in our minds are just recreated and recycled. And so there really is no individual. And so my hairdresser, same name as my husband, his name is David, it gets kind of confusing sometimes. But he says, "So Rachel, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's a big one. So what do I think?" Well, that takes me to this topic, this new, now, what's next? Well, I think that first we need to, one, know ourselves. Who are we? Who am I? We need to understand how this cosmic thing happens that we are part of. And we need to understand what is my part in this big cosmic experience. Facts. Did you know that 2.3% of children that are 8 years old are diagnosed as autistic? Did you know that 9.4% are diagnosed as ADHD? And 20% are diagnosed with some sort of dyslexia. So we call this a neurological divergent. Some people like to call it a disease or disability, but I don't buy into that concept because as we sang a little bit earlier, God created me. There's no disease in who I am. So when I was in the 2nd grade, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. At that moment in time, I thought how shameful, how stupid I was, because it takes my brain 5 times more energy to read a page of letters, words, than the typical brain does. So I hid it. I figured out ways around it so that nobody would know that I was dyslexic. When I was 28 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. Oh my God, don't tell anybody, right? Because again, it's shameful, right? This is a disorder that we have. But as I've grown up, I know that I am amazing, that I have talents. So dyslexia isn't just about I process differently. It allows me to walk into a room, see the patterns in that room, acknowledge the subtle undertones of the nonverbal communication that's being given out. That's a beautiful talent. As ADHD, we get this amazing thirst for knowledge where I can't not learn something that gets my attention. I can try. But oh my gosh, I start going, I had a hysterectomy about 2 months ago, and I spent a lot of time in front of on the couch. And I went through so many rabbit holes. This ADHD and this dyslexia thing just happened to be one of them. But I learned so much. Also, another advantage of being ADHD is that I have a really hard time not being authentic. I'm the one that's going to ask the question that nobody else is going to answer because I can't help myself. So it's important. Do we know who we are? I know how my brain works. I know how I can work around the things that, I forgot to put oil in the pan when I was treating the eggs. And I do this like every day. How did I forget the oil? I don't know. It's just part of that ADHD mind of mine. And that's okay. I also know that if I eat peppers, I get heartburn. And I know that if I'll do just about anything for an apple turnover. And my David makes amazing apple turnovers. So that's the physical body. And And do you know you? Do you know how your brain works? Do you know how your body works? We also have that element of who we are, that is our belief system, our consciousness. Now, I say brain and I say mind, and I know those are two different things. Scientists can tell us how our brains work. They can't quite explain how our minds work, or how the consciousness is part of this physical body. We learn from our childhood, we know this. We learn from the people around us, from the books that we read, from the TV that we watch. The question is, are you doing the work to look and see what we know and how, whether what we are seeing as our prejudice and our concepts of how the world works, are they good for us? Are they serving us? This is part of me getting to know who I am. And then there's that spiritual element. The reason we come to service or the celebrations on Sundays is to understand the bigger purpose, the bigger picture. What automates, or not automates, but animates this body, this heart, this soul? And that is the big question, right? The big question of what is ours to do? Emerson calls it divine discontent. Divine discontent. What does that mean? It means we sit in the comfort of our space, we've decided this is who we are, and then there's that little gnawing thing that goes, I think I could do more. Or maybe if I did this, I could be bigger or better. Or I just want a little bit more of this, a little more of that. I call that our divine guidance. Because we are who we are, but we are designed to be more, to grow, to become bigger and better than we are in this moment. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So what is mine to do? What is mine to do? I keep the window of my soul open to new and fresh ways of knowing truth. I let go of the little and accept the more. Ernest Holmes. Get rid of the little and accept the more. We all have the opportunity to live a little life, but it doesn't feel real satisfying. When we encourage and we allow ourselves to be more, it feels so much better, doesn't it? And that is because we are part of a bigger process. We're synergetically moving and creating and being part of what God has created, right? The universe constantly growing and discovering. What does that mean? Well, if we look at nature, you can see these lessons in how the world works. So a fruit tree. You know, a fruit tree, they start off really little in that shell, and we call it a seed. By the way, if you didn't get that. In that shell, and then they start to grow, and they take the earth, and they process all of those nutrients that wouldn't be used if it was just in the earth. And they see the sun, and they grow, and they become stronger in that sunlight. And that sunlight, if it didn't utilize it, would be kind of wasted. But it doesn't stop there. The tree breathes oxygen, breathes in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and gives us oxygen. Do you see how that cycle works? And then it doesn't stop there, because it creates fruit and flowers, and the insects and the birds and the animals, they eat and move the pollen and the fruit, and they fertilize other things, and they create more plants. What an amazing cycle. We are part of that cycle in the little things that we do. So now we must open the door of our consciousness and expand and expand and expand, and no longer think in terms of the backyard lot, but in the terms of infinite nature of the universe. That's a really big call. But do you think that the tree kind of goes, I don't know, maybe I just want to stay a sapling. Maybe I don't want to grow anymore. No, because that's not the nature of the universe. It's to expand and become more. And that is ours to do. That is what is ours to do. But there's more to it, because that's pretty out there. That's like bigger than just me. So the next question is, what is mine? I know that I'm part of the sequence. I know that I am part of the process. But specifically, how do I participate in the growing of the universe? To become more, to be bigger, to be better. So I'm sure you've all heard that old proverb, chop wood, carry water. Right? For before you're enlightened, chop wood, carry water. After you're enlightened, what do? You chop wood and you carry water. Because that's mine to do. Now yours may not be to carry water and chop wood. I mean, I actually don't know that I've ever chopped wood. But the point is that the enlightenment is not about what you are necessarily doing. It's about how you're doing it. It's about the consciousness, the love, the compassion, the caring, all of those elements that you bring to the task. Do I love in this moment? Or am I just here doing what I have to do? The doingness is what we are here on this earth. We get up in the morning, we go, and we do the do that we are to do. I just said that 3 times. But the enlightenment is the beingness that we bring to the doingness. The beingness that we bring to the doingness. That is the point. So what is the beingness that you bring into the doingness? Not only is there an activity of mind and spirit ready, but it is surging forward